happy to see her. And you probably remember Jackie too. Meteorologist Jackie Brown used to be a broadcast meteorologist right here in Greenville, Spartanburg. And
Mhm.
now she is on the national scene with WeatherNation. Jackie, it is so great to see you.
I know, Christy, we had so much fun together when I was
We
in
did.
Spartanburg.
I know. Fun times for sure. You remember that long tornado outbreak you and I did together?
Yeah, because everybody, I think Dan was in Chicago. Everybody, like
Yeah.
Malachi was on vacation.
It was
And
just one
so
of
it
those
was
things.
literally me and Christy. I was like twitching by the end of the night,
Yeah,
but it was worth it. We saved some lives. So
we
it was good
did.
to get the message out there. Yes.
I know, and that's the great thing about the weather, right? Part of the
Yeah.
newscast, you can really help to save lives. Now, you're in a situation where it's all weather all the time. I mean, that's what Weather Nation is all about. So, how has it
Yes.
changed compared to a local news station that you've done before?
It's like a breath of fresh air. I love it. I love the weather aspect of it. And so I just love doing the weather and only the weather.
Mhm.
Um, so my schedule is Sunday through Wednesdays, and we have 10-hour shifts. We
Mm.
produce everything. We produce our own shows. We work with the producers hand in hand. And it's different because you're covering obviously the whole country
Yeah.
versus just Spartanburg or Greenville. And so that was a little bit, I've just learned so much from working here at Weather Nation, because it's like you're covering lake effect snow, you're covering wildfires in California, you're covering the,
Mhm.
Pacific Northwest, we're covering nor'easters, we're covering so much stuff. And so that's been really cool learning all of that. I like the schedule. It's 4-day work weeks. We have 3-day weekends, which has been a game changer as
Ooh,
well. So
nice.
yeah, 3-day weekends every weekend is like, whew, my mental health feels so much better. It's just so amazing.
Well, and when you think about it, you say 10-hour shift and you think, oh man, that's a lot more, that adds up past eight. But most of us as meteorologists worked that long or more anyway, right? So at
So
least it's on the clock.
that's what's crazy about it, is when you do local news, some days you are working 10 hours
Mhm.
anyways. And so that's what I kind of like about this. Like, we still have the 3-day weekends,
Mhm.
which has been great. It's
Yeah.
a fantastic company. It's probably the best working environment I've ever worked in as far as a company goes. It's just been really good. And everybody who works there is just really positive. They're
Mhm.
happy. We're very hard workers. And then we have to cover events like hurricanes, tornado outbreaks. So when me and you did that long tornado outbreak,
Yeah. What was that, 10
one,
hours or something like that? It was a
woo,
long time.
I know it's just me and you. That was so crazy.
Because, for people that don't know, well, actually they do know because they watch TV and we jump in and interrupt programming.
Yeah,
But, if there's a severe thunderstorm, a lot of times the crawl, would handle that on the screen.
exactly,
But
exactly.
tornado warnings, we would jump on and, hey, here's where it is, here's where it's going. And our instructions were you do not get off TV until the warnings expired. And they just kept rolling. You remember that,
Yeah.
Jackie?
It just kept rolling over and over and over. And so you just really had to pace yourself. It was just constant. You had to mentally already prepare yourself. And so I'll say, Christy, that's one thing that's different doing the national scene. We do those outbreaks, but I'm not panicked if there's overnight severe storms. And
Hmm.
so, like, I have to rush in at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
That's the difference in local. You're constantly on edge with severe weather, because
Hmm.
say, hey, I just want to take a lunch break and a strong storm pops up all of a sudden,
Yeah.
and then now there's a tornado where you have to like rush back, you have to
Hmm.
cancel everything. So that's a key difference here. We have enough people in different shifts where during your shift, you cover that time. And so you don't have to like wake up and just be on edge. There were nights when I
Yeah.
did local, and you know that too, where we would be up at midnight because we have to track storms from midnight
Mhm.
through noon.
Or,
So,
yeah, exactly. Or until the next
woo,
person comes in and you can hand it
yep.
off.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would think that would be a real benefit because there's always a meteorologist there to cover whatever pops up
There
and
is.
develops,
And
right?
so it's just, yes, so that's just a breath of fresh air of as far as that stress and that anxiety of the local, especially in markets that have the severe weather like we did in South Carolina for sure.
Hmm. And when severe weather does pop up, suppose we had another tornado outbreak in the upstate. How would Weather Nation handle that? Do y'all zoom in and just kind of keep it local for a while, or how does that work?
Yeah, so you got to kind of figure in your mind, everybody tuning in here, some people are not going to care at all about,
Yeah.
something that's not going on in their part of the country. And so you try to keep it quickly. We will zoom in and we'll be like, okay, here's the tornado here, here's the tornado here. Population, if it's like a big city, you really want to focus on that as well. But then you also want to say, hey, but it's quiet out west. So we'll talk more about that coming up. So you
Mhm.
definitely have to find that balance with it, because you got to understand anybody tuning in at that time can be a part of any part of the country, but you're also still trying to keep people aware with the tornado happening in their city and town. So
Yeah, that's a lot going on. But if you think about it, a lot of times on the national weather scene, I would think
mhm.
that people would have it on for that passive learning about the general what's going on across the country, or if they're
Mhm.
traveling, or if they
Yes.
live away from where they were born, they're interested in what's going on for the family at home. So, I
Yeah.
mean, I can see how it would really be very useful to have that national look all the time.
Yeah, then it is very, very useful. Exactly, especially like we have, your travel forecasts for this weekend before Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving, of course, the
Oh,
holidays get crazy.
yeah.
We have the airport delays, all of
Right.
that stuff, and that's another thing that I kind of, from the local scene, we're only dealing with our airports, but we get to see like travel for like Atlanta. It's going to be like crazy at this time, so it's like you get to learn about like the different airports and where it's going to be the craziest during travel time. And
Mhm.
really, most of them these days, it's just been crazy anyway. So
Were you at the station? I think this might have been before you got to the station, but were you there when we did the Thanksgiving forecast hotline where people could actually
no,
call in?
what was that?
It was like a phone bank, right? And so you had these volunteers or the other meteorologists that weren't on TV answering the phones, and people would say, "Hey, I'm going to Atlanta," and say, "Oh well, looks like it's going to be 54 degrees and north wind at 16, no rain," that kind of thing. And that's
That's
all
fun.
fine and good until people started calling in with forecasts for Istanbul and things. And I'm like, wait a minute, that can't be right.
That's awesome. No, I wasn't there for that, but that sounds like a hoot. Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. It was one of those TV sticks, like let's come up with a great idea.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
you know how it
Mhm.
is. Sometimes you're like, hey, that's a great idea. And other times you're like, okay. Because you don't have a choice at local TV. They tell you what you're gonna do and you gotta make the
Yeah.
best of it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you got to try to do what you do. And sometimes it does not work out. Even when I did radio, it's like, maybe that wasn't the best bit. Where it's
Yeah.
like, I do a contest trying to do some wacky contest and nobody calls. And you're like, okay, let's never do that again.
Oh,
So,
I can see how that'd be feel kind of awkward, but
but you got to try. I'm always a big believer. You just got to try to
you
work
gotta
things
throw it
out.
out
And I think
there.
TV is definitely changing too. It's just such a different time where it's a lot more personality driven, and
Mhm.
you really people love to know who you are, more
Right.
about you. And
Mhm.
so that's one thing I really like too at Weather Nation. They have allowed me to be 1,000% me. They have never told me to change not one thing about me.
That's awesome. And they shouldn't. I mean, you are your own brand. And that's one reason
Yeah.
why people like you so much. And even here, Jackie, I'm not even in TV anymore. And every now and then someone's like, what happened to that Jackie Brown? I'm like, that was like years ago.
I know
So,
it's been over 3.5 years. Yeah.
yeah, it's been a little
But
while,
yeah, I
huh?
think a local news, especially when I started local news 10 years ago, because I did radio before, but it's like it was a different time too, because they were like, you got to wear your hair like this, do 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 this. So
Yeah.
I know times are changing, and even just being on the national platform and at Weather Nation, again, like I said, they're like, as long as you don't look crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
like too crazy on there, they're
Yeah.
like,
That's right. Yeah.
you have the freedom to do you and be you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's cool.
So what about when it's your turn to do, I guess I would assume that you're working with a partner during your 10-hour shift on the air. Is that right? So,
Yeah, I have.
do y'all divvy up what graphics, and do you get to choose what graphics and what you talk about, or how does that work?
So that's pretty crazy because you are working with everybody. Everybody shares everything together. And so you got to communicate a lot. We all produce the graphics. We're in like chats and we're like, hey, we just updated the hail reports for Kansas, or hey, I'm building the severe thunderstorm that's watch that's coming out. I work actually with multiple people throughout the day, about could be 1 to 3 people, really. I mean, it just depends on how many people are there, how many Mets are there that day. But you are working with multiple people, and yeah, you're. every single person on air is sharing all the graphics, which is way different from local. So things are constantly being updated or changed. And so you just really got to kind of communicate with everybody. And at first it was kind of overwhelming because, in the local scene, you're just working like by yourself in the weather center.
Yeah.
And so you're the only one changing like graphics and updating forecasts. And so you're just constantly like, we have a really good team though. So everybody just works well together and is kind of like, hey, I'm going to look at this. I'm going to go over this. And so I think that's the key too, is we just have a good team. So it's pretty smooth sailing. And we also have a producer, Ben. Hey, he's our night producer. He's fun.
Hey, Ben.
Yeah. And so he's really good too. And I think the key is everybody communicates. I think communication is so key. So it's been real good. So we actually produce everything. And so any segment you see, and sometimes we do fun segments and stuff like that. Like it's like Jesse loves game shows, all produced by himself. Like I love doing like weird facts or things about stuff like that. And it's all produced. And we produce everything from scratch by ourselves. So I've learned, and that's another thing. Yeah.
I didn't know that. See, I thought on the national weather stations that they had a team of people that produced the weather graphics and, hey, here's your choices for today. I just didn't know how it was set up. So that's pretty cool.
I'm sure some channels do, but I actually like producing our own graphics because I like knowing what I'm talking about. Yeah. And then if somebody produces something and we don't like it, I just skip that graphic. So it's like not that deep. So
on the local scene, before I left TV, they had changed computer systems, and we went from one where you could really do a whole lot of artwork if you wanted to. I mean, dress it up, draw, put the cold fronts where you want them, to a system that I'm sure was cheaper, but was also more automated. So you had less control over what you were showing. And I didn't like that. Like you're saying, I like to create something because you're telling a whole weather story and explaining to people what's going to happen.
Exactly. And I think that's the key too, especially on the national scene, is like and even the local scene, you are actually telling a story. Mm-hmm. And so how is this going to impact somebody, in Wisconsin? Why are they caring? Why are they tuning in? So that's one of the things that, they really focus on, like, why, if I'm going to tune in, why do I care? Why do I want to watch? And it is truly storytelling and making it interesting, unique, adding your own personality to it.
Yeah, that's great. So you get to decide what how you talk about everything, what order graphics and things like that.
Well, the graphics are we pretty much have it kind of set and we're all kind of on the same page. But if I wanted to change something, if they're like, hey, you're going to do this show, I can put it in whatever order I want. Yeah.
But if for example, if you're covering a hurricane, yes. Are y'all told you're going to show the satellite and then you're going to show the track and then you're going to show the impacts? Or do they say, let's do the hurricane right off the top? And you decide.
For hurricane coverage it's pretty intense. There's a lot of moving parts in hurricane coverage because we have Josh Morgerman, one of our storm chasers. He is fantastic, or one of the hurricane hunters, fantastic. So we have those folks who are out and about. We have the producers. We have live cams. There's just a lot of moving parts to it, and so really the producer will produce the show. Mm-hmm. And then if we everything is preset, but it's also live and it's also hurricane coverage. So you just never know what's going to happen, but it is preset. But then we would pick whatever graphics we want for the show, or the meteorologists determine the order. And that's one cool thing is at WeatherNation, they trust their meteorologists. So
as they should, right? I mean, if you hire someone, you should be trusting them. Yeah.
Oh, and also our boss is a meteorologist. So she is exactly. So in local, like I guess it was news director in local. I guess ours is Klaus. What is her title? She would be the one that like just runs everything, like just runs all of the talent and whatnot. But she's a meteorologist too. So she completely gets it. She gets it. So I think that's a key thing when you have people who all are meteorologists, like they understand why we're making decisions and what is being done, versus when you have a news director, which I've had some fantastic news directors, but you also have some who don't know what is their, like, they don't know what the reason and the rhyme is for telling us to do something. There's like no purpose. So
yeah. Well, It is what it is, and we've always had to kind of weave around that, and still do your
Yeah,
best and kind of do your best with what we're
exactly.
given. Now, I do like the fact that on the national scene, you can plug into so many bigger and so many sources. Like during a hurricane coverage, for example, you've got the storm chasers that you can talk to and talk back, and different cameras and things like that. I think that's
Hurricane
really
hunters, and then we talk to the National Hurricane Center as well a lot.
oh,
Michael Brennan is a big one that we talk to, and so they're constantly giving forecasts. We're constantly in contact with National Weather Service offices too. So
mhm.
it's just been a really fun experience. I just love working with the weather community, and everyone's
Yeah,
just so cool, and we're all on the same page. We just all want to get a message out there to help people, to
yeah.
let them know how their day or their life is going to be
Hmm.
impacted.
What's it like reading your email or social media things? I mean, can you go anywhere without people recognizing you being on the national scene now?
So the national scene is actually quite opposite than the local scene, believe it or
Oh,
not.
really?
Because in local, you are like famous within that town, or everyone knows you in that town. And out here, it's different. You don't really get recognized that much on social media. I do get like a lot of comments and a lot of nice people,
Hmm.
like so and so from Minnesota, or it's cool because you have so many different people from across the country. But
Yeah.
as far as local, I feel like because you're in that town and everybody knows you,
Hmm.
it's a different feel. The local feel is definitely more where everybody is like, oh my gosh, like, hey, it's Jackie, we
Right, right,
and
right.
on this scene, it's kind of like I'm in Denver. It's a big city life, and so it's just a different pace and
Yeah.
not as much as recognition as local. But I think one thing also in local, I did a lot of community stuff, which I've
Mhm.
been doing community stuff out here too, and I think that's what helps you get recognized too, just from what you do in the community.
Yeah, wanting to do good, right? On air and off.
Exactly, exactly.
So you've lived in a whole bunch of different parts of the country, right? You're born in
Mhm.
Spokane. You've
Yep.
worked in, was it Illinois before you came down to South Carolina?
Indiana,
Indiana. Okay.
Evansville. Mhm.
Evansville, that's right. And then over to Denver. How you liking Denver?
I love Denver. It's cool because people think is this. So first off, we have not had snow, and y'all in the South have already had snow. Some folks before us.
I
So
know.
that's a
Yes.
whole thing going on. We have been above average. It's been
Mhm.
70s. I think today it's finally cool. It has been gorgeous out here.
Yeah.
I know it's one. What I was going to say though is I know we're slowly creeping up on the list too of longest period without or the latest snowfall out
Oh,
here. So it's
really?
definitely in the top five. Yeah, yeah. Um, and one thing about Denver when I first moved out here is I went to go get snow tires because in Washington we had snow tires, and they were like, snow tires? I was like, y'all don't have snow tires in Denver? It's
Yeah.
Denver. And they
Right.
said, no, they said because it could be 65 degrees in December. And I was like, wait, what? In Denver? It
Mhm.
is literally sunny most of the time in the winter time because we just don't have as much of that moisture in the winter time. And some of our biggest snowstorms can be in like the March or April because we get a lot more of that moisture that pumps in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so the snow, it will dump down snow here and
Mhm.
it will melt immediately. As soon as that sun comes out, gone. I've never had any issues driving out here. Isn't that great with no snow tires? Or
That is
now,
crazy.
if you start going to the mountains, I mean, we are high up. We are the Mile High City.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if you start going into the mountains, even the little bit higher elevations, then yeah, that's a lot of snow. But the snow will melt here instantly, and as soon as that sun comes out, man, it's crazy. So I really like the winters out here. It's not what I
Yeah.
thought it was. It's
That's
just it's
interesting.
and it can be. It has been 60 degrees. Now, once it's 60 degrees, don't get it twisted. There will be a system that will come through and shoot that temperature down to like 40 or 30 degrees.
Yeah.
But the weather out here is so crazy. It changes so much all the time. So
Ought to
props
be
to the local
strict.
meteorologists who have to forecast out here because it is some
Oh,
crazy local weather.
I can imagine. So, with this latest snow thing going on or developing, are the ski resorts getting nervous, or what? What are their thoughts about it all?
So yeah, some of them. It's funny we were talking about that at work. Some of them have made the fake snow.
Okay.
There are some ski resorts that are open and are opening. There are some mountains. We're supposed to get mountain snow this weekend, and so yeah, that's definitely impactful to like the ski resorts because that's a big thing. Obviously, we're
Yeah.
next to the Rocky Mountains, so
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 100%. I was out there. I wasn't there in the winter. I was over in Aspen for a conference, a real estate
Ooh.
conference. It was a tough job, but somebody had to do it, and
Yeah.
it was so beautiful. And I'll tell you what, I wanted to see a bear so bad. And this classroom I was in had floor to ceiling windows, and it was going up a ski slope. It's wherever they do the X Games. I don't remember exactly where this was, but
Okay.
you don't happen to know, do you? I don't remember. I could look it up.
No, it's no, because my friend Taban, she was like out there at the X Games, and I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, anyway, you had this big hill, you could see, and I would look out there every now and then, nothing. And during the breaks, I mean, Jackie, I love people, but at times during breaks at these conferences, I got to go escape to the room and just kind of decompress for a minute. So I
Yeah.
did that. I did that during the break. We got back into session, and the teacher was like, "Why y'all keep looking out the window, looking for that bear again?" And I was like, "Did you see a bear?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, during the break, it walked right across." And I'm like,
Oh,
"Ah."
so you
So
didn't get to see it?
no, I didn't see it. Now, I did
Nice.
see a couple up at Glassy Mountain in South Carolina, the cliffs at Glassy. I've seen a
I
couple
don't
of
want to
black
see a
bears
bear.
finally. So, well,
That's so scary.
I don't want to see one if I was out hiking because they
Okay.
say that you're not supposed to turn and run, and that's exactly what I would
Uh-huh.
do.
Well, yes, we all would. And they seem like they're just so huge. I don't want to see a bear either. So I
No,
feel
I
that.
don't. They're beautiful from afar. But anyway, I digress. So,
Absolutely.
so yeah, the ski resorts are kind of making fake snow right now, and I'm sure that the real stuff's going to arrive soon.
We'll see because
We'll see.
the temperature profile for this weekend. It was weird because the models started off with a foot of snow like a week ago, and this is why you can't really trust this stuff. We have the GFS
Yeah.
and Barron, and then as soon as it got closer, we were looking at the temperatures. We're like, oh, the temperature looks like it's going to be like 35, 36, which
Uh,
sometimes we have gotten snow with that,
yeah. Yeah.
but it just now looks more like a rain event, and yeah, just more of a rain event here.
Mhm.
So we'll just on the board at WeatherNation at work, we have bets. When will the first snow be? And
Yeah.
so
Oh, yeah. I think
we have
that's
it
fun.
written. And so some people's guesses are coming and going.
I was gonna say it's getting late. I mean, we're almost to Thanksgiving.
I know, I
I,
know.
I don't
So
know when they
yeah,
usually open up, but they may not see it for Thanksgiving skiing.
still no snow. Yeah, some of the resorts are open and some are opening up. So we're
I
still
gotcha.
waiting. I know,
So,
it's crazy.
so the name of my podcast is "How's the Weather?" HOUSE. Since I'm doing real estate, so as I try to combine those two, because
I
you
love
never
that.
really are. I think you never really get out of weather, right? Once you sort of get that bug, you're always kind of looking at the forecast and trying to figure out what's going to go on. But do y'all ever talk about like winter weather preps for your home and things that people should do with freezing temperatures and snow? Anything in particular that you like to point out to the audience whenever you're on?
I think we have something called the 4 Ps. It's the pipes, the pets, people, and plants. And
Yeah,
that's what you want to protect. And that's what you want to protect. And
right.
so those are the things, especially with the winter. We're just like, hey, just think about the 4 Ps. You got to make sure, check
Hmm.
on your loved ones, your folks, make sure your pets aren't outside cold, because if you're cold, they're cold.
Oh, that's
Make
true.
sure your plants and then your pipes. You just want to check those temperatures and just know if you need to make sure you need to leave your water drip in, or you don't
Hmm.
want your pipes to freeze. So.
I like those little cheap foam insulator things that you can put on the outside water spigot if you have one.
Oh, yeah.
Just to kind of add an extra layer of protection. I don't know, but the pets, people, and plants and pipes. I mean, those are always classic ones for sure. And
Yeah.
I know that, and you probably get this too. Whenever you say, make sure the pets are warm, everyone loves that, right? Because the pets can't take care of themselves, you know?
Yeah, no, wherever we love a good pet. And yeah, you
Hmm.
definitely got to do that, even in the heat.
Oh,
Yeah, so the pets are definitely big ones that
yeah.
people love. And it's cool too, because people will send in photos, videos. We get that's another thing I like. You just get photos, cameras, people, pet from all across the
Oh,
country. And
yeah.
it's so cool and so cute to just see like how, one photo, a dog in snow in Michigan, and then it's like California, it's a cat in the sunshine, or Florida, some cats on a boat. Like, so
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Iguanas falling from trees, right, when they get cold and
Yeah,
wet.
exactly. So it's always that's always a cool aspect of it too, just seeing it from across the country. I really enjoy that.
That's cool. Now, what about AI? Is that kind of weaving its way into work at all, or have y'all not really
We
discussed
no,
that
okay.
part?
It is in a bad way as far as weather photos and videos. It hasn't
Oh.
impacted us yet, but we do have to now double check any tornado footage, or someone's like, after the Melissa, the big Jamaica hurricane,
Mhm.
um we were seeing photos and videos, and we're like, that's not even from Jamaica. From the, it was like, it was fake, it was AI. And so that's how AI is definitely impacting people. Are just making up stuff, and it's not real. And so
Yeah.
it's confusing people. And even videos that are real, I've noticed, like, there's been some crazy, like, any severe weather, or just some of our field correspondents will capture like amazing tornado footage, and people are like, that's AI, that's not real. And we're like,
Oh,
no, this is actually real. We tracked it on radar. We
yeah,
saw,
yeah.
the velocity, like, we can time that out. And then they're thinking stuff that's AI is actually real. So that's where it's kind of like, oh, yeah,
Mm.
it's getting a little tricky. So you got to really watch what you are looking at online. And Weather Nation's not posting AI. Like, we're gonna have,
Yeah.
we're double checking. But yeah, people will try to get you with that. So.
Yeah. It's not Photoshop anymore, right? It's a lot more savvy and
It's definitely, it's AI.
using a
It's,
tool.
yeah, AI. Yeah. It
Mhm.
looks like, real storm damage and
Mhm.
whatnot out there. And then it's like, that's not real.
And
So,
I guess in a good way, AI is trying to increase the accuracy of some of the computer models. I haven't really done a whole lot of research in that area, but it's just it's interesting because AI really only knows what it's told and taught, and then from what I understand, it tries to draw conclusions based on that. So it'll be
yeah.
interesting to
So
see what happens over the next several years with that in weather
it
forecasting.
will. Like climatology, I feel like AI would do good, and
Mhm.
factoring in stuff like that. But yeah, it only knows what it knows based off what it knows. So it will be very, very interesting. In TV in general,
Mhm.
not just
Yeah, that's true.
Weather Nation, but I think in news in general. But that human element, I feel like, needs to always be there, especially if
Yeah.
you're doing like talking to people. Like, yeah, I just feel like that human element, you can't take that away. So.
No, I don't think you can either. Well, do you think you, unlike me, are going to stick with the weather career for your entire career, or
Yeah, I
sounds like
think
you're pretty
so.
happy right now, right?
Yeah, I'm extremely happy, and so I'm just gonna ride it out as long as I can, as long as we gotta keep these youthful looks.
I know, right? You
You
look
know?
gorgeous. You look
Oh,
gorgeous.
Lord.
I know.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we all miss you here in the upstate, and personal level, I miss seeing you every day, just
I
because you
know,
were
I miss you
always so
too.
fun, and the great thing about you, Jackie, is that you laugh so easily. You make those of us that try to be funny every now and then feel good. Like you just try.
You are funny. Yeah, well,
We're
thank you.
just trying to get a laugh or two. Like you're always there. So
Oh,
I
thank
think
you.
I think that's great.
I
Well,
do miss a lot of I had a lot of fun times out there, but
mhm.
life
Yeah,
happened, life, and sometimes you just need that change. So.
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, I think you being on the national scene is a perfect fit. Hey, tell people when they can see you. Are you on a certain time every day? Or
Oh yeah, I'm on. My shift is Sunday through Wednesdays, and then I'll be on. I'm trying to think of what time. Normally, just in the evenings, because it's like
okay,
West Coast Central. I'm
I
like,
got you.
it's
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. I'm like, I can't. Yeah. So
yeah.
just, you can check me out in the evening times. I'll be on there. So.
And last question: what do you think about the time change, the fallback? What's your
Um,
opinion?
I know some people are like, I hate it forever. It does. I'm like, I am kind of like, I was like sad for, I'm like, why am I sad? I'm like, oh, because it's dark right now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I do miss it. I guess it's not as crazy to me as everybody else hates it, but I don't like that. It's because I would take, I've started doing like walks in the evening on my
Mhm.
breaks, and I'm like, oh, it's colder now because the sun's not out. So
Yeah.
it's impacting that. Yeah.
Well, I always liked the time change, just because when I'm out driving and there's tail lights, it reminds me of Christmas and Christmas shopping in that rush. Turns
Boom.
out it's
It's
just rush hour. But recently, I was like, man, I feel so tired. It must be 9:30. I look at the clock. It's only 6 o'clock because our sunset's
Yes.
around 5:20 right now.
Yeah.
So
It's
it's
tricky,
early.
man.
It is.
I know. So that is the thing. There's little things where you're just like, "Oh, man," you think
I
it's so
know.
late, and I'm like, "Oh, I still have the whole evening ahead of me." Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Jackie, thank you so much for spending time with me. Again, this is called How's the Weather? And I'm so glad that you're here because it just fits in perfectly. So thank you so
Yeah.
much for spending some time with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Christy, and I miss you so much too, and I miss everyone out there in, the Carolinas.